Isaiah Murrieta Golding never stood up again after the gunshot hit him in the back of the head. Police had tried to detain the 16-year-old a few minutes earlier in a shopping center parking lot near Shaw and Fresno.
Walk backwards, towards my voice. Stop right there, down on your knees.
Police body camera footage shows Murrieta running away and an officer following. You can't see the chase end on this video, but you can hear it. Murrieta had run to a daycare where surveillance video shows him jumping a fence and running again. He made it about 8 steps before Officer Ray Villalvaso fired the deadly shot. Officers thought the teen might be involved in a homicide the day before, and Villalvaso reported Murrieta looked at him and reached for his waistband, so he feared for his life.
Villalvaso over there described being in fear for his life.
There is no way that police officer was in fear of his life. That's a justification for the shooting, the shooting that he committed here. Frankly, I think the killing that he did in this particular case. There was no reason for him to shoot that gun, none whatsoever. It makes me angry just to even look at this videotape.
But fellow officers seem to approve. New Police Chief Andy Hall declined to comment for this story because of the pending lawsuits, but the city's Office of Independent Review, the OIR, found the shooting within policy. Quote, the reasonableness of force is based on the officer making a split-second decision after observing the suspect reaching for his waistband area several times during the foot pursuit.
But that's just not what the law says. The law says that there has to be an immediate threat of death or serious bodily injury, which clearly there wasn't. This young man was trying to run away. And you can be as critical as you want about how you shouldn't do that. But that doesn't give the police the right to use lethal force.
The OIR did recommend 10 policy changes, including putting body cameras on officers on the street violence team, like the one who shot and the one jumping the fence to chase. Those officers should also have less lethal weapons, according to the OIR. A jury is set to decide next year if the OIR was right to justify the shooting. Corin Hoggard, ABC 30, Action News.
A dramatic and deadly confrontation caught on body cam video has led to the firing of a San Bernardino police officer. The department just released that body cam video, police radio traffic, and the 911 call for help that started it all.
The subject is back, and you see the subject holding a gun in his hand now. Where are you at? Are you outside now?
Yeah, outside the house.
Okay. The officer's pulling up now. Are you going to talk to the officer?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stay on the phone with you until they get there because of what you're saying that your brother-in-law has.
2 officers' body cameras capturing it all as they approach the home on Cactus Circle. The suspect clearly seen in the home's front hall with a gun in his hand. That's when the officers started shouting commands.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun now!
The suspect did drop the weapon but would not follow officers' commands.
Hands up! Put your hands up! Put them up! Stop moving!
The department says it's been determined that the officer who opened fire did not meet the department's standards when using deadly force and is no longer with the department. The San Bernardino District Attorney's Office is currently reviewing the case.
We are seeing the face of Tatiana Jefferson, shot and killed in her home by a Fort Worth police officer early this morning. This story begins on the south side of Fort Worth on East Allen Avenue. That is where our Eric Alvarez is live tonight to walk us through what happened.
Well, friends and family are understandably outraged tonight. They are demanding answers. They are demanding justice for that young woman who was shot and killed here inside her own home by a police officer that was called here to see if she needed help.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
A welfare check gone horribly wrong. In this body cam footage released by the Fort Worth Police Department, you do not hear the officer identify himself as he passes a window and steps through a gate into the backyard. He then sees a figure in a window, draws his gun, and fires. less than 3 seconds after demanding to see the person's hands. That person is 28-year-old A. Tatiana Jefferson, who lived in the home with her 8-year-old nephew.
The family is understandably brokenhearted.
Attorney Lee Merritt, who spoke to Jefferson's family, says the pair were playing video games early in the morning.
And they heard someone creeping around outside. She went to investigate at the window. An officer was on the other side who shouted commands, and before she had a moment to respond, he shot her to death.
So how did this happen? Around 2:30 a.m. Saturday, Jefferson's neighbor noticed the door open and the lights on. He called a non-emergency line asking for police to perform a welfare check.
I'm still kind of broken and shocked.
James Smith tells WFAA officers parked around the corner, arrived at the house with no lights, no sirens, and did not announce their presence. He called police so they would make sure Jefferson and her nephew were safe. He never expected police to put them in danger.
They tell me I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel bad because had I not called the police department, she would probably still be alive today. So I do feel a little weight on me for that, making that call.
This is our first look at Aaron Dean's mugshot. The former Fort Worth police officer has been charged with murder. Dean shot and killed Tatiana Jefferson in her own home while she was playing video games with her nephew. Bradley Blackburn is live in Fort Worth. Dean was booked a few hours ago. Is he still in jail?
Well, Chris, we're told he bonded out of jail less than an hour ago, though we didn't see him leave from any of the exits here at the Tarrant County facility. Bond had been set for Officer Aaron Dean at $200,000. We learned his name for the first time just this morning, and tonight we are seeing that mugshot. Former Fort Worth police officer Aaron Dean arrested and charged with murder.
At approximately 6 p.m., Aaron Dean was arrested for the murder of Miss Jefferson.
In jail just hours after he resigned from the department.
I think it was to show that.
Today, Fort Worth Police Chief Ed Krause said he planned to fire Dean, but he submitted his resignation before that could happen.
This will not be an opportunity for us to make excuses, but rather to investigate this case to the fullest.
The chief and the mayor offering their apology.
We are all heartbroken today
for Tatiana Jefferson's death.
There is nothing that could justify what happened on Saturday morning.
They promise it will lead to change, an outside agency to do a wide review of police tactics and procedures. There are questions about what Dean knew when he approached Jefferson's house, searching outside instead of knocking on the door. A neighbor had called for a welfare check, but officers were told by dispatch it was an open structure.
An open structure call is something that you would typically park down the street and approach cautiously.
Officer Dean saw Jefferson in the window and pulled the trigger.
Show me hands!
A second after his verbal command.
325, shots fired, sorry, supervisor.
Police also releasing the radio from that night.
Clear, are you shooting or you hear shots? 325 shot.
Aaron Dean.
Dean had been with the department since early 2018. He's 35 years old, a UT Arlington graduate. Tonight, his family didn't answer the door at their Arlington home, but a neighbor said he knew him in passing.
It seemed just like he's normal, everyday dude, and that's why I was so shocked whenever I saw the photo.
An officer now charged with murder.